Hi guys! For this week's Read Aloud, I'm going to do a book that I know someone in our class is going to love. If you can take a guess, who in our class loves sharks? Audrey! So this is one of the newer books I got from Scholastic, and it is called Clark the Shark. Okay? Clark the Shark was written by Bruce Hale and illustrated by Guy Francis. So here it is, Clark the Shark. Okay. In all the wide blue seas, in all the wide blue world, the top school for fish was Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. And of all the fish at Theodore Roosterfish, the biggest and the strongest was Clark the Shark. Clark loved school and he loved his teacher, Mrs. Inkydink. He loved to play upsy downsy and spin-a-majig with his friends. Clark loved his life. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting, more reading, said Mrs. Inkydink. And she says, shh. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch, said his best friend, Joey Mackerel. Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You're playing rough, Clark, cried the other kids. What do you notice about Clark compared to all the other fish at the school? He might be a little bit bigger than they are. Yes, Clark loved his life with all of his sharky heart, but he loved everything way too much. He was too loud, he was too wild, he was just too much shark for the other fish to handle. After a while, no one would play with Clark. No one ate lunch with him, no one sat with him at circle time. Even his best friend, Joey Mackerel, said, "Cool your jets, Clark, you're making me crazy." One day, Clark asked Mrs. Inkydink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Mrs. Inkydink patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard. You munch too hard, and gosh, you even help too hard." "But life is so exciting," said Clark. "There's a time and a place for everything," said Mrs. Inkydink. "And sometimes the rule is stay cool." At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zing. "Sorry," said Clark, "I forgot." "Yikes!" cried Joey Mackerel. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good that he munched a bunch of lunches. "Sorry," said Clark, "I forgot." "We're starving," said his friends. Uh-oh. It's not working too good. In class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book got him all shook up. "Now, Clark," said Mrs. Inkydink, "this isn't the time or the place. Tell me, what's the rule?" "Stay cool," said Clark. "Hey, that rhymes," he cried. Then Clark got a big idea in his sharky head. "Maybe if I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time," he thought. The next day, he put his plan to work. That's kind of like our spelling chants. Right? They help us remember. So maybe this chant will help Clark remember. In class, when lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce up out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, "When teacher's talking, don't go walking." And what do you know? It worked! "Attaboy, Clark," said Mrs. Inkydink. Clark smiled. Lessons are fun. Good job, Clark. At lunch, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and never stop, he told himself, "Only munch your own lunch." And it worked again. "Way to go, Clark," said his friends. Clark grinned. Lunch is fun. At playtime, Clark told himself, "Easy does it, that's the way. Then my friends will let me play." And playtime was fun. Once more, Clark loved his life. Have you been picking up on all the rhyming words in Clark's chants? Like munch and lunch? But then a shadow fell across the playground, a ginormous shadow with tentacles galore. "It's a new kid and he looks scary," cried Joey Mackerel. "Swim for your lives!" The squid squashed the slide and it snapped off the swings. "Oops, my bad," said the new kid. Who does the new kid remind you of? "Wait," said Clark, "he just wants to play. Let's find a way." And he swam at the new kid with all his might. Clark played harder than he ever had before. Upsy downsy and spin-em-a-jig. Why, he even made up a new game. Tail Wumpalumpus. "Wow, that was fun," said the new kid breathlessly, and he settled down. "If you want to come to school, you've got to stay cool," said Clark. "That's right, Clark," said Mrs. Inky-Dink, "and thanks for taking care of our new classmate, Sid the Squid." "Hooray for Clark the Shark!" everyone cheered. That night, Clark's mother asked, "What did you learn at school, dear?" "There's a time and a place for everything," Clark said. "Sometimes you stay cool." But sometimes a shark's gotta do what a shark's gotta do. I hope you enjoyed Clark the Shark.